So, over roughly the past 3 decades, a sector of business tourism events that we traditionally called conferences, and principally in the corporate sector, has been evolving through very strategic but highly creative means, and has been variously named as industrial theatre, live events, brand experiences, and experiential marketing. In the most successful of these events, those with lasting impact and results, experience is absolutely key. It's no longer sufficient to stand and preach at the conference delegates. Engagement in a vision or a brand means that the audience must be fully drawn into the brand experience. I think we can define experience as interactions with the products, employees, or people who represent a brand, as well as anything learnt from that brand's marketing, word-of-mouth recommendations from friends, colleagues, or social media. Now, studies show that experience drives business results, and more than 8 in 10 consumers are more likely to consider a brand that has a great experience, whilst 6 in 10 consumers will pay even more for a brand that has a great experience. But brand experience requires ideas. An idea can be created out of nothing except an inspired imagination. It weighs nothing. It can transfer across the world at the speed of light for virtually zero cost, and yet, when received by a prepared mind, can have extraordinary impact. It can reshape the mind's view of the world. It can dramatically alter the behavior of the mind's owner, and it can cause the mind to pass on the idea to others. As you heard, I've been producing public ceremonies, Olympic ceremonies, and currently Commonwealth Games ceremonies for many years now, and thrilled to do so. Ceremonies are an experience which inspire billions of people around the globe, moments of drama and spectacle that bring vast communities together and celebrate the unique qualities of time and place. They are, in fact, a massive example of engaging people in a vision, drawing people into a brand, in this case, the city and country in which they're held. Events like this inspire our clients to seek engaging solutions in their slightly more modest events and experiential events. And whilst budgets are inevitably smaller, engagement will similarly drive a successful event or multi-dimensional experience. Key to all this, of course, is managing client expectations, and this requires, in the broadest sense, providing a creative response in order to negotiate and deliver a client's expectations, and being able to draw creative ideas from music, text, or a brand. So, what does it mean? Managing client expectations? Well, I think we could define it as addressing what clients expect will happen or to be achieved. It's that simple and it's that complex. Sometimes a client's true expectation is never fully expressed until it goes unmet, and then and only then do we get the full insight into the client's actual desires. But meeting all of client expectations is an essential component of customer satisfaction and creative approval. And I think there are many things that we need to remember, one of which being that clients need to understand what's occurring at every stage of the creative and production process. They need to know when they're expected to contribute information, contact, feedback, and fees. So I think it's a useful starting place to look at the components of a creative brief, or a production brief. I think you'd have thought that some of these were very obvious, but be surprised how many people ignore it. And I've found in my own experience that if you remember these things, that the whole relationship is much better. So really, background summary. So you need to ask all of these questions. You know, whether you're a venue with a new client, whether you're an event company, or whichever provider you are in the business tourism spectrum. So who's the client? What's the product or service? What are its strengths and weaknesses? Is there any documentation that we can help us to understand that situation? The overview. What's the project? Why are we designing it? Why does the client think we need this project? And what opportunity will the project support? The drivers. What's our goal for the project? What's the purpose of our work? And what are our top objectives? The audience. Who are we talking to? What do they think of the client's product or service, and why do they care? Competitors. Who are they? What are they telling the audience that we should be also telling them? And what differentiates our clients from its competitors? The tone of the presentation. How should we be communicating? What adjectives describe the feeling or approach? In the message, what are we saying with this piece exactly? Are the words already developed, or do we need to write them down? What do we want the audience to take away? The visuals. How should these ideas look? And the details. What's the list of deliverables? What's the delivery medium? Are there any preconceived ideas, parameters? What's the timeline, the schedule, and the budget? And lastly, people. Who are we reporting to? Who exactly is approving this work? And who needs to be informed of our progress, and by what means? So, a lot of questions there, but they'll get you the answers. So how do we approach this? Well, firstly, by being very credible. I think it's always extremely important to exhibit confidence, be prepared, be confident, showcase your track record, cite examples, talk about case studies, and prove that you've got the relevant experience. Keep your emotions in check, keep calm, don't lie, because even small I can't say that word, I need a drink. Inauthenticities can spoil your reputation. And deliver on time and on budget. Salesmanship, so whether it's receiving approval on an idea or securing a deadline extension, getting your way may take a bit of selling. The best salesmanship occurs in the form of quiet persuasion, when the client doesn't feel that you're actually selling to them, rather that your suggestions seem to be logical, inevitable, and desirable. Give feedback, and there's an art to doing that. Do give it when you're asked. Do consider your response very carefully before speaking. Tie objections to a clear rationale. Put comments in context. Notice the body language of the person that you're talking to. Very important indeed. Encourage discussion and useful debate. Make sure that the person you're talking to understands your feedback and think of solutions or alternatives. Don't get emotional. Do keep it professional. Don't attack the person. Challenge his or her thinking instead. State opinions as though they were facts. Explain how ideas work. Take them through the decision-making progress and show them how the idea evolved from the client's goals and is the perfect solution. And then what I call project post-mortems. So clients love a short, very easily repeatable explanation of the concept that they can express to their internal team. Make it clearly definable and memorable, and explain it, if you like, as a sound bite that obviously they can explain to others. Now, how do you run a meeting, and as obvious as it sounds, what are the main reasons for having a meeting? I really do think we need to remember this, because I go to quite a lot of meetings where I'm not sure what the point is. So the main reasons to have a meeting are to evaluate information, make decisions, make key creative presentations, inspiration for the team, and bringing people together. Don't call a meeting if you've got a simple message to deliver, especially if it doesn't require an immediate answer, or it could be more persuasive via a telephone call. If you must call a meeting, prepare for it in advance, define its purpose, invite the minimum number of essential people, create an agenda, make sure all the attendees have all the relevant logistical information. Start and finish on time, present only relevant information, assign follow-up options, and close by summarizing decisions and next steps. Why do meetings fail? They were not necessary in the first place. The objectives and goals were completely unclear. The wrong people were present. It was badly timed, badly controlled, and subject to poor decision making. It took place in an uncomfortable environment, which was either too hot or too cold. The seats were uncomfortable. So I think, just to sort of summarize it, if you want to be effective in a meeting, you need to have clarity and listen and question, concentrate and focus, be polite, serve as a role model, encourage participation, don't dominate the conversation, control your emotions, judge content, not delivery, observe verbal and non-verbal cues, tolerate divergent views, act as a mediator, stay impartial, and be fearless. So let me set the stage for you a bit. You've been working on a project for about 6 months, and the project's gone okay, hasn't gone fantastically, but you're finally at the end. The budget's nearing its end, the deadline is looming, and you're reviewing what you believe are the final deliverables with your client. And things are going really well until the client says, "This is great, so when is the rest of it ready for review?" And you start to panic and dig through emails to state your case, and you realize this is a no-win situation. Because even if you're not legally obliged to do any additional work, your client is not going to be happy with what your team has delivered. This happens to everyone. This scenario is simply a symptom of not setting and managing expectations, and is best solved by open and honest communication. I think the most common reason I've seen projects go bad is a failure to ensure that all parties are on the same page during the project. And when expectations are not managed on a regular basis, you'll end up in a place where very uncomfortable discussions are required at the end of the project. So remember, do everything you can during the course of a project, and it will have a major effect on your client's expectations. So you can either choose to lead the conversation or not. So just a few good practices, I would say. I'm a huge believer in frequent informal reviews. Have tough conversations during the project. Things are going to go wrong during the project. Assumptions that were made turn out to be incorrect. And when these happen, you have an opportunity to educate clients and allow them to make good decisions moving forward. It's okay to be wrong or to make a mistake. So when you or one of your team give bad advice, you need to own it. Be the person that brings up the issue first. There might still be repercussions, but it's often the cover-up that causes the most problems. Offer to help the client communicate inside their organization, because often your client is not your only point of contact, but also the point of contact for the larger organization. So if you set proper expectations with your point of contact, he or she may also need a little help navigating the political waters of their organization's expectations. And this is a massive opportunity for your relationship with your point of contact. So if you make them look good, you'll have a strong ally. I mean, it might be that your point of contact's been shouting from the mountaintops at his organization for many years, but you as a consultant can sometimes have a voice with much greater weight. So although stakeholders couldn't understand or maybe accept the points being made by your client before, they will often listen to your outside voice. So help bridge the gap within the organization, and you'll be looked at much more as a partner than as a supplier. Make sure that the expectations evolve with the project, and above all else, it's our job to help evolve clients' expectations as the project evolves. Scopes change considerably for nearly every project on which I've worked, and it tends to happen during the project. So in summary now, I'm just going to run you through a brief case study. But in summary to this, I think it's wise to say that right now you know less about your client and their needs today than at any time in the future. So embrace this fact, and you're well on the way to truly managing your client's expectations. And remember that there is no I in the team. So that finishes the main part of my presentation. I think I have a few minutes to run you through a case study briefly. And I wondered if any of you know of a Nike campaign called She Runs the Night. Does anyone know of this? No? Okay, that's good. So this was an example of us working together with the agency and the client Nike, and where I think expectations were possibly beyond met. It was one of the most successful campaigns I've been involved in, which is, I'm happy to say. So the Nike brand was very strong within the running market, but Asics had a slight edge in shoe sales, and especially in female shoe sales. So Nike had always designed shoes, especially for women's feet, but had never communicated exclusively to females. So Nike and our agency felt that this was a gap and an opportunity. According to research, Nike was the top consideration for female runners. However, Asics was seen as the running specialist and the brand most likely to be recommended to others. So what was Nike's objective? Well, their overall objective, the one that we had to meet, was to find a way to connect with female runners and get them talking about Nike. So what did we do? What was the strategy? We started by speaking with young females who took their running seriously, and it soon became apparent that running appeared to be an individual pursuit dominated by men. Women had a tendency to run alone, and were often left to overcome their fears and achieve their goals by themselves, which seemed very much at odds with women's natural inclination to discuss and share experiences. The big insight was that young women runners lacked something fundamental to the female psyche, which was a forum to communicate, achieve goals, and conquer barriers together. The idea, therefore, was born in association with Nike, which was to create a community for young females bound by a passion for running. The strategy to use real female runners as the primary channel to promote and grow this opportunity in many ways, as live events and also in campaigns. So the strategy to use female runners as the primary channel was a significant departure for Nike from elite athlete-led communication. And the channels that we used were physical running communities, digital communities, mobile interactivity, because it was essential given the high usage by runners, and then advertising placed in female worlds, not running worlds, so shattering the male-dominated norms. How was it done? Well, conversation was ignited through Nike's social media channels with a rally cry for change and stimulating chat around the barriers women face. It was during this conversation that the need to tackle the biggest barrier of the community was identified: running alone at night. So Nike decided to challenge its community by announcing a 13-mile night race for female runners. And this would be the anchor around which the community would be built. And it gave the community and the project a name: She Runs the Night. Young runners were solicited to be the voice of the brand, and one young runner was appointed as the community manager to bring a voice to the Nike She Runs Facebook page. Her posts brought instant authenticity to the community and led to some of the highest engagement across Facebook posts. Nike encouraged women to share their running experience, both with their Facebook friends and their fellow fans. There were thousands and thousands and thousands of likes, and it was clear that the community was onto something very powerful. With 87% of young female runners running with their phone, an app with content was generated, and the runners were made by Nike, and it was made available to the women to provide further inspiration and motivation. To help recruit runners for the race, 5 young women were chosen as ambassadors, and their stories were told in a content piece employed across multiple channels and posters that activated videos in environments where runners congregated and discussed running, or fitness areas such as gyms and well-known running routes. There was further promotion via a well-known female magazine partnership featuring editorial. There was advertising, website integration, and a running workshop. The promotional push was replicated within universities, so recruiting ambassadors who networked and recruited within clubs, societies, sporting groups, gyms, and all the facilities on campus and the faculties. And we also sent what we call EDMs, electronic music, to students so they could run with the music and use their social channels. Each ambassador held weekly run clubs in different locations, allowing women to not only train for the 13-mile run, but also connect with other women along the way. Race night was when the community came together. Runner journeys were published via all media partners and Nike's own media. Race entrants also received a personalized digital media video post-event. Nike Run Clubs still continue on a weekly basis. Ambassadors still provide motivation to runners and continue to promote product information. And the figurehead young female employed in the beginning is still blogging. So did we meet client expectations? Well, She Runs was one of the most successful experiential marketing campaigns of last year, principally run as probably why some of you don't know it. It began its life in Australia. What did it do? It demonstrated that the power of a culturally connected idea, one that helps a community to form, shifts brand perceptions, and ultimately challenges and changes how people can talk about a product. Nike and the agency set out to shake up running for women and ended up sparking a movement that unleashed a powerful, thriving community, a community that's still running. So that's where I finish with that example, and thank you very much.